Hello and welcome to today's Alteryx training. I am Fagwambi Kende, the data scientist at Syndrome, and today we're going to be looking at the preparation tools in Alteryx. And of course, these tools are used to prepare your data for further transformation. And today we're going to be looking at the random percentage sample tool. And you can check other tutorials on other preparation tools I've done. And but for today, we're going to be looking at the random percentage sample tool. The random percentage sample tool, from the name random percentage sample, it's actually a very useful tool that you can use to generate random samples as you run and rerun your workflow. Okay, so it just it's used to return an expected number of records that of course is going to be randomized. Okay, so you can actually, the configuration for this random percentage sample is actually very pretty straightforward and simple, where you can pick like a random number. So you can see I want just 20 random numbers. Probably you have about 3,000 rows or 3,000 records. You can say you have just need about 20 random numbers. So every time you run your workflow, you get 20 different random numbers, right? And that's actually a very good thing, right? And of course, you can also, the random percentage, where the percentage comes from is you can actually say you want um 30% of your data. So for example, if you have like 3,000 records, right? You're saying you want just 30% of your data. I think that's about 900, right? And then you just keep getting 900 different samples, right? And then you see that. So okay, so you just keep getting 900 different samples every time you run your workflow. So you can see you can do it on a number base or a percentage record. And of course, there is a little trick to it. You can actually have a recurring sample. For example, probably you are doing or having the same workflow with somebody, and you are working on the same data set. You want to probably do something to achieve a particular result. You can actually have like a random seed, and what this random seed helps to do is it helps to return the same record every time you run the workflow, instead of having a randomized returned output. You get the same record being returned every time. All right, and of course this is the icon for the random percentage sample. If you notice, this is blue because is one of the preparation tool, and that's why it's encoded in blue. All right, so let's go to Alteryx and see how to use the random percentage sample tool. Okay, so for example, just going to bring in first off my input data tool to you know have its data set in here, and let me just pick the sample superstore data, actually very popular data sets. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this here and then run this. So just an overview of the record. We can see we have about 994 records. Okay, so then you can see here, so we can actually just have a random sample tool. So if you come to the preparation tool palette, you can see several tools you have for the preparation tool palette. And just in case you can't find your random sample tool in here, you just come to this button, the add or remove tool button, and then come to preparation tool palette, and then you see all the tools you have in the preparation tool palette, right? And then if this is not checked, just check this and then click on OK. All right, so I'm going to come back to my preparation tool palette and then um, use my random percentage sample tool. Okay, so you can see the configuration for the random percentage sample tool. You can see here we have, so let's pick this first. let's say we want to have want to have 10 random values every time we run our workflow. So I'm just going to connect this here and then run this. So if you see here, we have 2575 as row ID, and you can see we have 10 values. So if I rerun this, if you look at this very well, so let's just look at the first row ID and the last, and let's see if that same result will be returned. So 2575 and 9067. Okay, let's rerun this. You can see this has changed, right? And that is why it is a random tool, right? It randomizes our output, right? You can see here and then what we have in here, right? So that's about it for the random percentage tool for picking a particular number of records. Now for this random n percent of records, so if I click this, and of course, one thing I want to add to this is that you can always click a deterministic output. And like I said, this is just like a random seed where you have a value, right? And then if any other person is using Alteryx and imputes this same value, you will get the same results for every time you run this workflow. So for example, I'm just going to be putting 25 here, and then I'm going to run this, right? So you can see what we have here, 291 and 7783. So I'm just picking two random uh, record to see if this is going to return the same thing. So let's rerun this and see if this is going to return the same thing. You can see this return the same thing. Why? Because I have a random seed in here, and this random seed helps it to return the same thing over and over again, no matter how many times I run this workflow. All right, so let's look at the random n percentage of record, right? So you can see percentage of record. So if I click on 10 here, it's going to, so I'm going to uncheck this first. If I click 10 here, that means it's going to return 10% of the total records, right? And the total record is what? About, it is 9,994, right? So for every time I run this record, it's going to return 10% of that record. So I'm just going to put it at 1%, okay? So this 1%, and then let's run this. Okay. So you can see what we have in here, right? You can see 1% is about 99.94, right? And that's why we can see that this is returning 100 records. So you can see here, right? So let's just pick random. So 281 and 287. So let's rerun this and see. You can see 281 in here and 287. So I'm just picking like two random values to see if it's going to return the same thing. Okay, 281 and 287. So if I run this again, let's see if it's going to return that same value. I see that's changed, right? So 418 and what 495, right? So, but if we have a deterministic output here and including a random seed, you can have any value. So I can see random values, it's right 9867. So if I send you this data set and you use that same value, we're going to be getting the same result. So you can see this is 34 and 300 and what? Then we have 345. So let's see if it's going to return the same result if I run this again. Okay, so running this again, you can see the same results. Okay, so you can see how useful the random percentage sample tool is in Alteryx, right? And then you can, if you are working probably remotely with a colleague of yours, and then you want to like do a test, right? And you want to test on a particular random value, and then you pick a particular random seed, you can just, send this number them, and then they would get the exact results you are getting in your randomization. Okay, so that's about it for the random sample tool. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.